The ROV camera lights pierced the absolute darkness of the Alaskan seafloor. And then, emerging from the void like a phantom, the unmistakable silhouette of a World War II vessel materialized on the monitors. Steel hulls, intact deck structures, artifacts scattered exactly where they fell 80 years ago. The research team fell silent. They had just found something the ocean had been hiding since 1943, something that would rewrite what we thought we knew about one of the war's most mysterious chapters. Most people have never heard of the Attu Islands campaign. It has been called the Forgotten Battle of World War II, and for good reason. While the world focused on Europe and the Pacific theater, a brutal conflict was unfolding in one of the most remote and hostile environments on Earth. The Aleutian chain stretches like a broken necklace from Alaska toward Russia, a string of volcanic islands battered by relentless storms, freezing fog, and some of the most treacherous waters on the planet. Even today, ships avoid these waters when they can. During wartime, they had no choice. In June of 1942, Japanese forces did something that shocked America to its core. They invaded and occupied Attu and Kiska Islands, making this the only time since 1812 that foreign troops occupied American soil. The strategic implications were enormous. Control of these islands meant potential access to the North American mainland. It meant a foothold that could threaten shipping lanes and military operations across the entire North Pacific. What followed was a campaign of extraordinary difficulty. American and Canadian forces fought not just against Japanese troops, but against the environment itself. Visibility often dropped to near zero. Temperatures plummeted well below freezing. Ships navigated through some of the most dangerous waters in the Pacific, where sudden storms could appear without warning and swallow vessels whole. Pilots flew missions in conditions that made takeoff and landing equally deadly. Many vessels never made it home. They slipped beneath the waves, taking their crews and cargo with them into the icy depths. Transport ships, cargo vessels, military craft of every description. For decades, these ships existed only in historical records, their exact locations unknown, their final resting places unmarked on any chart. The extreme conditions that made the campaign so deadly also made underwater exploration nearly impossible. The same storms that sank these ships kept anyone from finding them, until now. In July of 2024, an expedition set out with one ambitious goal: to find the lost ships of the Aleutian campaign. The team came equipped with technology that would have seemed like science fiction to the sailors who fought here 80 years ago. They used multi-beam sonar systems capable of mapping the seafloor in extraordinary detail, revealing features as small as a few centimeters across. They deployed remotely operated vehicles equipped with high-definition cameras, powerful lights, and precision navigation systems. This is the kind of equipment that has revolutionized underwater archaeology over the past decade, making discoveries possible that previous generations could only dream about. The challenges were immediate and daunting. Water temperatures hovered just above freezing, cold enough to affect equipment performance and limit dive times. Currents swept through the channels with unpredictable force, threatening to push the remotely operated vehicle off course or tangle its tether. Visibility on the surface often dropped to dangerous levels as fog rolled in without warning. The team had a narrow window of favorable conditions, and they intended to use every minute of it. The sonar work came first. Systematically sweeping the seafloor in carefully planned grids, the team searched for anomalies, anything that did not match the natural contours of the ocean bottom. Days of scanning produced terabytes of data. Buried in that data were shapes that made the researchers lean closer to their screens. Distinct, angular forms, unnatural structures rising from the sediment. The telltale signatures of man-made objects that had no business being on the ocean floor. The decision was made to deploy the remotely operated vehicle, ROV. As it descended through the water column, the monitor showed nothing but an endless blue-gray void. 50 meters, 100 meters, 150 meters. The pressure increased, the temperature dropped. The vehicle's lights created a small sphere of visibility in the otherwise total darkness, a bubble of illumination sinking through a world that had never known sunlight. And then the seafloor appeared, and with it something that made the entire control room go quiet. The Cheribon Maru emerged from the darkness like a ghost ship frozen in time. This Japanese cargo vessel had been lost during the campaign, and here it was, its hull still largely intact, resting on the ocean floor as if waiting to be discovered. The ROV moved slowly along the length of the ship, its cameras capturing details that historians had only been able to imagine for 8 decades. Deck structures still standing, cargo holds still defined, portholes still intact, evidence of the vessel's final moments preserved in the cold, oxygen-depleted waters that had become its tomb. The team documented everything with meticulous care, every angle, every section of the hull, every artifact visible on the deck and scattered across the surrounding seafloor. This was the first time human eyes had seen this ship since it slipped beneath the waves during World War II. The significance was not lost on anyone in the room. They were witnessing history that had been hidden for generations. But the Cheribon Maru was not alone. Further exploration revealed a second vessel, the Dellwood, another ship lost to the Aleutian campaign, another piece of history that had been waiting in the darkness for 8 decades. The remotely operated vehicle footage showed a vessel in remarkable condition, its structural integrity preserved by the same cold waters that had claimed it. Like the Cheribon Maru, the Dellwood told a story of war, sacrifice, and the unforgiving nature of the Alaskan Sea. 2 ships, 2 crews, 2 stories that had been silenced by the depths, now finally being heard again. What struck the researchers most was the extraordinary level of preservation. In warmer waters, shipwrecks deteriorate rapidly. Marine organisms consume wood and colonize metal. Warmer temperatures accelerate chemical reactions that break down materials. Stronger currents scatter debris and collapse structures. But the near-freezing waters off Attu Island had acted like a natural preservation chamber. The low temperatures slowed bacterial growth. The reduced oxygen levels prevented much of the corrosion that would have consumed these vessels in other environments. The ships looked as though they could have sunk months ago, not 8 decades ago. This preservation offers unprecedented opportunities for research. Every artifact, every piece of equipment, every structural element tells a story. The way cargo was stored reveals logistics and priorities. The damage patterns suggest what happened in the final moments before each ship went down. Even the marine life that has colonized the wrecks provides valuable data about how ecosystems recover and adapt in extreme environments. These sites are not just historical artifacts. They are time capsules, preserved windows into a specific moment in history. Experts who reviewed the footage were stunned by what they saw. This represents some of the most significant underwater documentation of World War II vessels in recent years. The clarity of the images, the state of preservation, and the historical importance of the site combine to make this a landmark discovery in maritime archaeology. For historians of the Aleutian campaign, this footage answers questions that have lingered since 1943, and it raises entirely new ones that will fuel research for years to come. The implications extend far beyond historical curiosity. These ships are war graves. They carry the memory of those who served and died in one of World War II's most challenging theaters. They faced not just enemy fire, but the relentless hostility of the environment itself. The discovery brings an opportunity to honor that memory, to document what happened with unprecedented accuracy, and to ensure these sites are protected for future generations. There is something sacred about these places, something that demands respect. The technology that made this discovery possible continues to evolve at a remarkable pace. Remotely operated vehicles become more capable, able to dive deeper, stay submerged longer, and capture footage in higher resolution. Sonar systems are becoming more precise, able to detect smaller objects and create more detailed maps. Artificial intelligence helps researchers analyze vast amounts of data more quickly. Our ability to explore the deep ocean expands with each passing year. The success of the Attu expedition demonstrates what is possible when cutting-edge technology meets historical discovery. It raises an inevitable question: what else is down there waiting to be found? The Aleutian waters almost certainly hold more secrets. Other ships were lost during the campaign. Aircraft went down in the fog and were never recovered. Equipment and supplies were claimed by the sea during countless operations. Some may never be found, claimed forever by depths too great or locations too remote to search. Others may be waiting just like the Cheribon Maru and the Dellwood waited, preserved and patient in the cold darkness, ready to give up their stories to anyone with the technology and determination to find them. Future expeditions are already being planned. The data gathered in July 2024 will guide researchers back to these waters. Additional documentation will capture even more detail of the ships already found. New search areas will be explored based on historical records and sonar data. Archaeological protocols will ensure that these sites are studied responsibly, their stories extracted without disturbing the sanctity of what are essentially underwater memorials to the fallen. The focus will be on careful ethical research and responsible preservation. There is something profound about seeing these ships after so many decades of silence. They connect us directly to the men who sailed them, who fought in this forgotten corner of the war, who faced impossible conditions in service of their countries. The ocean claimed these vessels, but it also preserved them with a care that almost seems intentional. In a sense, the sea kept their stories safe until we developed the technology to hear them again. That connection feels deep and human. The footage from the Attu expedition will be studied for years. Historians will analyze every frame for clues about the campaign. Marine archaeologists will map every visible feature of both wrecks. Naval architects will study the structural details. And perhaps most importantly, the descendants of those who served here will have a new window into what their family members experienced, a visual connection to sacrifice that had previously existed only in faded photographs and official records. This footage is both a tool for study and a bridge to living memory. The Aleutian campaign may be the forgotten battle, but these discoveries ensure it will not stay forgotten any longer. Remotely operated vehicle cameras have done more than document shipwrecks. They have recovered a piece of history that was slipping away from living memory, bringing the past into sharp focus for a new generation that never knew this chapter of the war existed. That recovery matters for history and for memory. 80 years. That is how long these ships waited in the darkness. 80 years of silence, of cold, of patient preservation beneath the waves. And now, finally, their stories are being told again. The ocean kept them safe, the technology found them, and the world is finally ready to remember. What other secrets do you think the Aleutian waters might still be hiding?